Welcome to another Mailbag of Holding episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, where you never know what you're going to get.
Welcome back to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get. Today we're sitting down with another 25 mailbag questions that you, the listeners, have sent in, and that we, the hosts, have to answer. I'm Adam, and with me today are Brad and Steve.
So the way that this episode is going to work is that we're sitting down with a list that have been randomly sorted from the monstrous amounts of questions that you sent in, and we're going to roll initiative. That's going to determine which of us has to read out the questions in what order. Remember that everyone has to answer each question, but if whoever reads it out loud has to answer it first.
And yes, we do have to answer every question.
All right, guys, grab dice. Let's
grab
roll.
die and roll. Nat 20 for me.
Oh, I'm going last. I'm so happy. That never happens. All right, Brad.
All right. Very first question here comes from Sweetaboo. Winter or summer, what is the worst for your D&D games? As in, like, people away, burnout, other things impeding DM's evil plan. Right now, for me, every damn season. But statistically, typically summer, right? That's when people are getting away for longer stretches of time and trying to get everybody in town at the same time is impossible.
Yeah.
Summer.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Summer is always just a brutal scheduling conflict. And then also, for me in particular, my apartment gets really hot, and I'm also on a very busy road, so leaving the patio door open means that nobody can hear each other, so we're either dying or we're not playing because nobody can hear each other anyways. So yeah, summer, not great.
So it used to be summer, and then, because I was always out of town or Mieka was in town, now she's joined the D&D group, so we make a point of playing in the summer. Right, so then it would be winter, except we really only have a couple of people away for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and
it's usually all at the same time, right?
But fall.
Yeah,
is when Dan's got the kids back in school, Dave is off hunting, that's the big hunting season. There's really no excuse for Mieka to be in town during that time, so I don't have her at the table. And it's gearing up to Halloween, and that's Charlie's jam. So he's just got shit on every weekend through October. So fall is hard. And then on top of it, I tend to cancel because that's usually, I don't know if anyone's noticed, October is when we do the big push and It's a Mimic.
It's a lot of work.
There's almost like 4 episodes a week sometimes, and I'm just like, sorry guys, I got to cancel. I have 6 hours of editing to do, right? So
kind of works out in a way.
It kind of works out in a way, but yeah, we take a weird hiatus in like September,
October.
Yeah, and then we're back in like November, and we'll run through pretty solidly till March before spring hunting season kicks in and Dave fucks off again.
Right. Yeah. All right. Next question is from King of Rot. How many villains is too many, and what can you do once you cross that line? That's tricky. I think probably 4 is too many. I think I could handle up to 3. Especially, it depends on the size, right? Size, scope, and what you're doing with them. I don't think I want more than 2 of them overlapping, but a third that's kind of on the periphery. I think that's not a bad blend. But 4, I feel like you got too many balls in the air.
He asked the question online, and then he said, "Here are all my villains," and it was like 26 villains.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
If
we're talking like little set pieces that are like a one-off, they're gonna be here for a session and then gone, that's one thing. But if we're talking like actual like recurring ongoing villains in a campaign, I don't want to be personally juggling more than 3 major ones.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is pretty accurate for me as well. I think the only exception to that rule is maybe like syndicates or like some kind of like, villain council that sort of, there's the head and then a bunch of sort of secondary, yes men or yes women that sort of sit on the side and go, yeah, that's evil, good. Like that sort of, then you're sort of focused on the one and you've got like a larger cadre that maybe you want to work through, but the focus is on that big bad. So yeah, I would say that big bad, and then maybe a couple of other sort of like side focuses that are sort of meddling with the affairs of the party as they sort of try to accomplish this greater goal.
I always look at it like, what tier are you in? There should be the villain of the tier, right?
Yeah.
So you should work through the lieutenant, and then the captain, and then the general, and then the emperor, right? 4 tiers.
Sure.
So you should be getting a really satisfying body count every 4 or 5 levels, right?
Yeah.
Get that big kill, say, hey, we won, but there's someone else on the horizon. That being said, that's not always possible. Some things like the Tomb of Annihilation or Curse of Strahd, like they don't really have a whole bunch of like lieutenants for it.
No,
most people don't get up to the Emperor level like, in tier 4 either, right? So what I like to do instead, so that's my real answer. But my personal answer, like do as I say, not as I do, is I have one big bad guy, and then I've got an opposing big bad guy, and I make them fight, and then I'm constantly trying to get my players to choose a side. Both sides are bad. So 2 villains. And then each one of them will have a lieutenant or someone out in the field to actually fight repeatedly. And then I will also have a Tarask, an elemental cataclysm, something like
Force of nature.
some force of nature thing they will have to deal with at some point. And then every player gets a nemesis. The nemesis will usually get resolved end of tier 2, early tier 3.
Yeah.
But I will have it just like, give me your backstory. And my question is always in session 0, who's your nemesis? Who do you want to fucking kill?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I will let them be an absolute shit until the end.
Yeah, I guess my thought was like, how many are actually in the mindset of the party at any given time? And that's where I'm kind of drawing that line at 3 or 4. Yeah, there's going to be more in the background that they haven't met yet, or that they don't know the machinations of. I don't really count those as villains at that time because they're not on the party radar.
Yeah, it's always, I have the 2 opposing forces and then whichever nemesis we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
And then as they get killed off, I'm hopefully making the other nemesis more impactful so they're impacting more players. And then, because we run up to level 20. I think this campaign, I've promised them level 22, so we're going to go epic levels.
Sure.
And then, I just need to have big, powerful bad guys.
At that point, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
yeah. All right. Third question comes from Sweetaboo again. If your partner, spouse, or significant other had been replaced by a doppelganger, how would you know? I've got 2. 1, my wife hates belly buttons, and specifically her own. If you touch it, she winces and screams. So instantly just do that, and if there's no reaction, I'm like, okay, you've been replaced by a doppelganger. That is absolutely it. The other one is, this was early when we were dating, but I did the Dementor's kiss on her, where we were kissing, and I just sucked all the air out of her lungs. And she just had like this reaction to it and said, now if I ever try it again, she knows immediately and pushes me away. I think I could trick a doppelganger if they haven't experienced that before.
that's amazing.
Yeah, so those are my 2.
Oh, that's a hard question. I think the answer would be to throw her a history question and see if she got it wrong, because my partner is just the biggest history nerd, particularly like anything to do with like Britain, like 17th century kind of stuff. I've probably said the wrong century. She's probably hitting me right now. She's listening to this episode, but
throwing something across the room.
No, it's the 18th century. What's wrong with you? So yeah, throw some kind of a history question at her. If she got it wrong, I'd be like, I don't know who you are.
I do everything in my power to annoy me all of the time. I would assume a doppelganger would put up with it for a certain amount of time just to like get on your good side.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I would.
I've edited enough of your Pantheon episodes at this point. Awesome. All right. Next question from Zan. What is your favorite uncle? Media, personality, pops, people. Uncle Fester.
That's a great answer. He's not on my radar.
No, just Uncle Fester for sure is my favorite uncle in media.
That's such a weird, hard answer.
At first I was like, one of my uncles? And I was like...
Well, you can't. That's an option.
Is it?
I mean, it says media personality or pops people, but come on, you can name one of your own favorite uncles.
Oh, man.
I got a lot of good uncles. I couldn't do that with family.
Do you want to take this one, or are you still... Are you relying on my time to pad out your own answer? Because I'm stuck.
So I've got an answer, kind of. Okay, all right. So my initial thought was Uncle Owen.
Sure.
Right, but he's not really a character.
No, he's not.
In the background. Then I understand Uncle Iroh is the best answer, but I've never fucking seen it. So I understand objectively that's probably
I only
the best
have
answer.
osmosis understanding.
And then I'm going to say probably Uncle Phil.
Oh, great pull. Great pull.
Yeah, probably Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil's a great choice.
Yeah,
he is one of the best uncles in television.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's Uncle Phil?
Fresh Prince?
Never saw it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's after my time, I think.
Oh,
it's wild.
I do have an answer now, though.
Oh, yeah, okay.
As a gigantic Spider-Man fan.
Oh, yeah, okay, there you go.
I was going to say, if no one said Uncle Ben, I was going to toss it out as
I have to say Uncle Ben.
That's
Yeah,
sure.
Uncle Ben, I mean, he sets up one of the greatest superheroes of all time. Got to give some props
for the short bit that he's been in any of the media, he has had probably the most profound impact as far as like minutes to impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, as far as uncles go, anyway.
As far as uncles go, for sure. All right, and last question for this little section from Alan Brewbeard. How much hem is a Hemsworth worth if the Hemmer's work doesn't fit him? If his work doesn't fit him, he's not worth with an inch of hem. So no hem is my answer. Also, some Hemsworth are just inherently worth less than others. So they also didn't specify which Hemsworth.
There's definitely
if we're talking about
list.
Liam, like it starts at 0 and it goes less if he can't even do the work.
Yeah, I don't think there's another answer.
He's like the only celebrity listening to the podcast.
If you are, fuck you.
Unsubscribe. Oh, man.
We're at that. All right, let's move on to the next question. That question got all the time it deserved.
I'm not putting any time or effort into that one. Good one. All right. Let's re-roll.
Roll again. Well, I can't even get it in there.
You go up to a 19.
Yes, you're up
All
first.
right.
All right. So, our next question is from Sweetaboo. If a ritual needed to summon you to the location of the caster needed 3 components, what would those components be? All right. So basically, to summon me specifically, what would 3 items be that would need to be part of that ritual? I think is what the question is.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, for me, that would have to be an original copy of A New Hope.
Ooh.
I would need probably a branch from a tree, not because I like to go outdoors, but because I am gigantic.
True.
That's right.
And what would the last thing be? How about, like a microchip, just to represent sort of like software engineering, video game kind of techie side of myself. So those 3 things. So a branch, a microchip, and a copy of The New Hope. Has to be original VHS.
I dig it.
Nothing else would work.
I mean, probably a baseball hat, because when am I not wearing one, right?
That's
Absolutely.
fair.
A Blue Jays one specifically seems right.
Seems correct, yeah. I'm wearing the
work one now, but
company
still.
branded, but it's usually a Blue Jays hat. Oh, God. Comedy and tragedy masks, maybe, because of my time with acting, because I sunk 2 decades into that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be specific, like my wedding ring, because they're never going to get that. There's only one of it, right? Like,
Sure.
It's not like you're summoning a demon, you need this blade. You're just summoning me to there. Something I've had a lot in my life. A vial of tears of the O'Coin. It doesn't matter which O'Coin brother it is, but it has to be one.
One of the 2 brothers, though.
One of the 2
The
brothers,
children don't count?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought Jurassic Park was going to be in there, but you left that one out?
No, I don't. I would have to say the O'Coins.
The O'Coin tears are probably more fitting.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. For me, number 1 would probably be a Bible.
Sure, yeah.
Big part of my life, obviously. Number 2 would probably be a pillow. Just something of comfort.
I was actually going to assume that you were going to do the exact opposite, like a cup of coffee, because I don't think you've slept in like 6 years.
I haven't, so I'm just kind of... I do my best to grab it when I can.
I mean, the thought of sleeping just summons him into the room.
Exactly. And then last would be a computer mouse. A combination of hobby and work, right?
Sure.
A lot of my time spent at the computer, so I think those 3 things would be...
Yeah, that's fun. That's a great question.
That's a good question, yeah.
That is a great question.
All right, next question comes from King of Rot. What are your experiences with triggering and or living through an apocalypse in your D&D campaigns? Now, I might be an oddball here, but I've actually never played in a D&D campaign that involved the apocalypse. My stakes have never been that high. So I don't know that I have an interesting answer to this question as a result of it not being...
Adam's probably going to be the only guy here with a really genuine long response.
The closest I can come is I ran a game a number of years ago that was called Remedial Heroes, where basically a bunch of reject kids were at a school for learning how to be a hero. And the way I started that campaign up was basically I said, okay, roll your stats. Sorry, pick a class and then roll your stats afterwards, but you roll them in order. So whatever you roll for the first one will be your strength.
We call it the Dave method.
And then whatever you roll next will be your dex. And so you get these sort of like off-brand kind of like my ranger doesn't have a dex stat kind of people. And then the plot of the campaign was basically these little temporal rifts got ripped open all over the countryside. My players never got to a reason why. The game didn't go that long, but they would have to go through and try and close them. And if they didn't close them, they were going to go wider and wider, and more stuff from these other realms was going to pour through and sort of taint their own home plane.
Cool.
So yeah, I guess that's the closest. But we never resolved it. It never wrapped up. We didn't have a solution to the problem. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't remember what the cause was anymore.
Sounds like D&D.
Yeah.
If you guys will indulge me for a moment as you're talking,
Please.
I looked up the script that I wrote as I triggered the apocalypse last year in my D&D campaign.
Go for it.
It's a couple of pages long. Are you willing to sit still through this?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
You gotta ask the listeners.
No, fuck that.
Good luck, everybody. If you want to, here's the timestamp.
So here's a script that I read out loud at my table. Keeping in mind that for anybody that's been on the Patreon, they know that I've been triggering the apocalypse and been dealing with the goddess of death, trying to break into the world. But she's got a harbinger of death, and the avatar of the anti-god also has the avatar is also in the world, and they've been frozen in time. That's how this campaign started. Is they're going to wake up soon. This is them waking up. So they've been frozen in battle. So this is what's going on. Two impossibly loud, inhuman screams fill the world, seemingly pushing the fog away like a gust of wind through candle smoke. All of the purple portals suddenly double in size, and a small portal, the size of a large helmet, pops into existence between Casey's character and Megan's character. The purple gem fires into the sky and off into the distance. Less than a second later, a large, wet, pearly sphere the size of Dan's character's head births out of the portal, pushing and straining until it plops onto the ground. Another one pushes out a second later, landing on the ground with a wet squelch. Just as it hits the ground, though, a 29-foot portal booms into existence 40 feet away from, Mieka's character's love interest. The purple gem that is created by this portal fires through your group, hitting Kyle's character and the very famous wizard Melf before embedding in a tree. Upon contact with each of them, they both disappear. Suddenly, powerful electric arcs explode from the large portal, turning the ground to glass wherever it connects. A male, gray-skinned figure as tall as Dan's character, who is a furball, so he's huge, but rippling with the muscles of a gladiator, steps out of it, followed by two more massive muscle-bound female creatures. Then another 12 more of these massive humanoids march out in 4 rows of 3, their stomping footsteps clanging with the sounds of armor as their large swords, axes, and mauls sway on their backs. Just as that seems like the end of them, 4 more come out, straining to drag forward the heavy chains they are pulling. At the other end of those chains, stepping out of the portal, is a 12-foot-tall, purple bipedal beast, with massive horns jutting out from the back of its head and curving forward toward you. It roars loudly, using its massive arms to tug at the chains that are attached to an iron collar fastened around its neck. It bellows in rage at its 4 handlers, and the broken tusks and fangs in its mouth seem almost as sharp as the dozens of spikes growing out of its back, arms, joints, and tail. The tattered loincloth that hangs from it is covered in the same blood stains that mark its chin and chest. The figure that first stepped through the portal looks around the area, seemingly ignoring you for a moment, before he sniffs the air. He grins, turns his head, and announces over his shoulder to the others, "We are finally here." He raises his fist, and you can see that on his forearm is a slightly glowing rune. It is not as bright as yours. It is far simpler in design and has only one color, but it looks similar to the ones each of you bear. Each of the other figures raise their fists in triumph, and you see matching runes on each of their arms. As they bellow an echoing cheer, Daystrider, who is a Goliath NPC, turns to the very famous wizard Dromage, who's also in my campaign, and says quietly, "My god, what manner of orcs are these?" Dromage says slowly, "I'm more concerned about the manner of demon they've captured." But before anyone can say anything else, the leader turns to the group of you and says in a deep, booming voice, "I am Grutok the Doomhammer, leader of the Godsworn. Do not fear us, for we are bound to protect the gentlefolk, such as yourselves. Our savagery, faint hearts, is pointed by a greater purpose. Now that Grumsh is dead, and Ilnival has taken Luthik as his bride, the end times are upon us, and we stand to shield you against the tides of horror and misery, so that you may cower in your havens with your loved ones and pray to any remaining gods that may yet listen. Our chances are slim, but know now that the weight is no longer yours to bear. We are here to save you, and you will owe us nothing for it." That alone. So, context, the 2 pearly orbs that came through the small portal, those are the eyeballs of the Jabberwock, and I've now introduced the Jabberwock into the campaign.
Excellent.
Lovely.
I just entered a whole bunch of orcs, which just pissed off my entire party by saying, "Set down, you're not the real heroes we are."
Yeah.
Right.
And any party would be.
Yeah, and
Yes.
they've got a Tanaruk in tow as well.
Yeah.
So, the earth trembles. Dromage looks at one of the other NPCs who is cradling the large purple gem in his lap. He says, "My God, they've awakened." And suddenly the sky looks as if it is falling towards you. The far depths of the sky becoming nearer and nearer. As the purple portals in the world burst into blue flame that crackles loudly over a faint, manic chorus of laughter. The blue flames begin to burn the portals away, shrinking them in size before eating them completely. The far distance of the sky drops down even further, seemingly hanging directly over your heads like a menacing weight that yearns to crush you. And the sun rotates around, revealing that it is a single bloodshot eye with a lime green iris. Tentacles burst from the pupil of the eye and start pulling at the air, dragging the sun closer to the earth like an octopus pulling itself through mud. A black streak shoots out from the horizon behind you and hits the sun, turning the tentacles to ash and pushing the eye into the heart of the sun, which seems to consume it and returns to the sun to its original form, even though it is now nearly 4 times the size it once was. The black streak of energy bounces off the sun and hits one of the voids on the horizon. It flashes white and black like a strobe before it flashes, becomes weaker and weaker, and you notice the flashing void has stopped. But instead of returning to the black abyss of nothingness, it instead seems to have become a pale, featureless grayscape. There is a sense of the void pulling away from the ground, while at the same time staying the same size, and you gradually become aware that the pale grayscape is actually skin. And this is the unfathomably large creature pulling away from the other side of the void, as if stepping back from a window. The skin you see eventually pulls back far enough to reveal its shape, a hand with a thumb on either side, and 5 fingers in the middle. The 7-fingered hand is the emblem of the goddess of death. So they all kind of shit their pants when that happened. At the end of each finger is a long, cracked, and broken nail of pure blackness, embedded in a red, raw nail bed. The world behind the hand is empty, white oblivion, a lack of existence, an emptiness that hasn't existed since the first god became aware of himself. The hand makes a fist with 1 finger protruding. It pushes towards you, punching through the void as if piercing the delicate skin of a rotten fruit, and this colossal finger enters the world and plunges into the ground 100 miles from you. A distant flock of birds tumbles out of the sky. A number of large ferns wilt and turn brown, drying up around you as the leaves turn to dust. Daystrider suddenly begins vomiting blood. The monster in chains screams and starts clawing at its eyes before hemorrhaging from all of the orifices on its head and crashing to the ground dead. Daystrider grabs his lever and chokes out, "I love you," before snapping his head back in the most pain any living creature has ever felt, and the eruption from his mouth covers her in blood and bile. Before anyone can even react, he falls to the ground dead. The finger digs into the world and the knuckle erupts with fire and ash. The knuckles are a big mountain in our world. In the distance, you can see the Hag's Island rise up from the land and hover hundreds of feet in the sky. A massive serpent with wings explodes from the horizon and wraps around the massive finger of the goddess of death, becoming a ring that is snug against her skin. A shockwave ripples out of the ring through the sky in all directions. One of the wizards cries out, "Brace yourself!" and Dromage casts his arms wide, exploding with light, as he screams out an incantation never heard before by another mortal. The light forms a bubble around you and the orcs just before the shockwave passes overhead. They'll have to roll a wisdom save. Those who fall are imbued with a bloodlust like no other. Dan's sword, which had a sentient aspect to it, begins to drip with blood. When the blood hits the ground, it sparks small fires wherever the droplets hit. The finger rises from the earth and the serpent disengages from it and flies off to some unknown place. The finger retreats back through the void, which immediately darkens back to its original blackness. The light from Dromage fades and he collapses to the ground unconscious. As it fades, anyone who is not consumed by the bloodlust has to make a charisma save. Those who fail that fall into intense despair and heartbreak and are under the effects of a dread curse, which acts like the spell slow until they can succeed on the save, which they can reroll at the end of each minute. There's a whole bunch of different things for specific NPCs, But then it wraps up with those pearly white spheres that had fallen through the portal are floating now at twice the height of a man. Suddenly, 2 green dragon wings unfurl into existence behind the eyes and start flapping arrhythmically. Then a skull pops up around the spheres, which sit in each of its eye sockets. The skull seems to be that of a snub-nosed dragon, but it opens its jaws and giggles and titters like a madman as lips and a tongue pop into the creature, and it starts babbling insanely. The pops start coming faster and faster as a skinny, sinuous green-colored dragon manifests itself in front of you, one bone, organ, or muscle at a time until it sounds like popcorn, rapidly popping into its final form. As the last pop finishes, the Jabberwock screams. The night above you is filling with ash as the knuckle explodes, and the sun beats down heavily on the doomed world below. The orcs who are consumed with bloodlust charge forward at the Jabberwock, and in the distance, the Harbinger of Death and the Avatar of the Anti-God fly in different directions to recoup their losses and begin to build their evil schemes. Grutok the Doomhammer looks back at the group of you and declares, "Get back, gentlefolk! Roll initiative." And that's how we ended a session for 4 months.
Wow.
So we did that, and then I went off to get married. So that's that. I did when I triggered the apocalypse. 500 things happen at once because
Chaos.
yeah, I need them to all think about something else so that when they're talking over the next few months and planning and whatnot, there's all of these. Okay, what about the orcs? Well, okay. What happened to Dave Strider? Is he actually dead? What do you mean the wizards and Kyle's character are stuck in a gem now? All the portals have disappeared. The sky has burst open. There's a floating island. Like there's just so much going on. And by the way, there's a dragon in front of you. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Right.
This is insane.
The immediate thing is there too.
Yeah. So and they needed the orcs now, even though they hate them, which they did not like at all. So like, how do I deal with an apocalypse of triggering it? That's how I deal with it. So, thanks for sitting through my TED Talk.
And if you didn't sit through the TED Talk, welcome back.
Welcome back.
I don't think you answered it, Brad.
I don't really have an answer. No, the closest we've gotten is in Dan's campaign, there was all of the dragon eggs basically plummeting into the planet.
I felt like he was going to trigger the apocalypse.
It was going to get there, but we only got through like 3 levels. So
yeah.
That was underserved. And then he handed me the campaign, and I'm supposed to do something with that.
Fair enough. All right, so for our next question, it comes from Makusa. What convoluted plan by your players ended up making a required Google search that definitely put you on a watch list somewhere? Once again, I'm unsure if I have an answer for that.
Not anytime recently, but I'm telling you now, I have been at some tables where torture has been a factor.
That's going to be mine as well, yeah.
Yeah,
torture is kind of usually the one that's, if it's going to put you on a watch list, that's usually the one that you got to Google.
That's fair.
Or like how to overthrow a government, I'm sure has been Googled from someone's phone, right?
Yeah.
Like,
that makes sense.
How to bury a body without it being detected is definitely one on the list.
Yeah.
D&D, 5th edition, you put at the end of all your Google searches.
Yeah.
So that NSA agent knows, okay, he's playing Dungeons and Dragons.
So if I really want to look that up, I just got to throw on D&D.
Yeah, D&D 5 edition.
Look,
if
you're going down, you take a Gygax with you. That's right. It doesn't matter which one.
Next question is from Sweetaboo. What conspiracy theory do you think is most likely to be true? Speaking of watch lists. I don't know about this one. I guess...
Are you a conspiracy theorist? Like, are you a believer in them in the first place?
I like to consider all the options. Sure. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, I don't know that I would say that, like, I believe in, the Apollo landing being fake. But, like, I think it's interesting to look into something like that.
Sure.
And read the evidence from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, it's driving me nuts. Because I know that there's one in particular that I'm like, you know what, that kind of makes sense. And it's just not coming to me in the moment. Okay, I guess the best answer I have is, while I am in no way a flat earther, I do find that theory is interesting because generally most of us just accept that it's not because we see pictures and like have been told that the earth is round.
It's my argument to anybody that claims to be a full atheist because faith is stupid. I look at him square in the eye and say, when was the last time you saw a fucking molecule, man?
Yeah.
Right? Like...
Exactly.
Like,
we're taking a lot on faith in every aspect of our lives.
Yeah, whether it's a priest or a scientist, depending on the book you're reading, right?
Yes.
Like
you're taking someone else's research and first-hand experiences as
We accept a lot about our general day-to-day existence because somebody told us in a classroom that that's how the world works.
Yeah.
And generally, because it all adds up and it all works, we're like, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then when the stuff that's weird that we can't explain happens, we just go, well, that's wrong.
Yeah.
So,
Or the science hasn't caught up yet. We'll get there.
We'll
Don't
get
worry.
there. Yeah, that's right.
so yeah, I guess my answer isn't so much that there's one in particular. It's just that, I think that except for the really, really bizarre and like way out there ones, there's a lot of stuff out there that we just don't understand, and accept the people that tell us that's how it is.
Yeah.
When it comes to actual conspiracy theories, I don't know. Like, my first knee-jerk reaction is, none of these are real, you just need to feel special. However, I gotta say there are a couple things that stick out to me. One, aliens absolutely exist, it's impossible. If the universe is as grand as we... Like, if science and math is a thing that you rely on, then science and math say aliens.
Yeah.
Right.
Have to physically.
No, whether or not we'll ever bump into them because the vastness of space or the vastness of time, like maybe the greatest civilizations existed billions of years ago.
Sure.
Like we may never know, but
So they're not being kept in Area 51, but they're probably out there somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, either in the past, the future, or now very, very far away.
Yeah. So but the one that I honestly think is probably true is there have been so many weird, sudden, like, what's a good example? Area 51 is a great example. And then, it's just weather balloons. Nobody look over here. It's just weather balloons, right? And no one pay attention. I think that whole fucking thing was just a false, it was just a smokescreen for what they're actually fucking doing.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So 90% of the time when there's some weird, like, conspiracy thing that happens, or there's a world event, you're like, oh, Jeffrey Epstein hung himself. Did he though? Right.
Yeah.
And so everyone's sitting there looking at this problem. Right. That's Epstein. Who is doing what?
Yeah. What are they actually?
Well, we're all looking at the jail. What's happening on the island? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
the circus has our attention in the center of the ring.
Yeah.
What's going on behind the scenes?
and I'm not necessarily certain that it's some shadowy cabal.
No.
It's probably just a handful of people that really, really, really understand how to manipulate media and people.
Yeah.
Right. To just say, hey, that we're going to kick off this incredible war in the Ukraine. Ukraine's not going anywhere, by the way. Like, the Ukrainians are going to be, like, weirdly able to defend themselves. And good for them. But, like, it's all things considered, this should not have popped off the way that it did. Yeah. As we're all focused over here, what is going on home turf in America, or what's going on in Argentina, or just
somewhere in the world,
somewhere else where you're not supposed to be looking. So
yeah, one of my favorite comedians is Ron Funches, and he's got a fantastic bit where he talks about he's saying, I don't believe in all conspiracy theories, but you tell me you don't believe in any? You think the government's just out there batting 100% telling you everything you need to know? Absolutely not.
No.
Something's being hidden. What it is, like, that's as far as I go with conspiracy theories is, no, I don't know the truth.
I also don't believe that any single government is able to pull the wool over our...
Absolutely not.
This is corporations or billionaires or something.
This is why I believe in the moon landing, because I've seen the incompetency of government. There's no way they keep that hidden now.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the Russians are in on it, and like they haven't produced something. Absolutely not. Like, that one I believe in, but 100% there is like somebody pulling something over your eyes.
Oh, absolutely.
And the government is also lying to you about some things, but not the things you actually think they're lying to you about.
Misdirect, right?
Misdirect, exactly.
All right, last question for me. Zan asks, do you use a bidet? If not, do you know what you are missing out on?
To be fair, he's European. Like, there are bidets where he is.
Sure.
So, yeah.
I mean, there's bidets here.
It's not that familiar. You got to get one of the, like, special hookups. So.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, like, two of my close friends have bidets. My parents have bidets. So, yes, I have, in fact, used a bidet. And, like, it is definitely a better experience than toilet paper. But I will, and maybe I'm showing my North American, naivete here. I hate the slightly damp feeling that you have afterwards. Like, obviously you still wipe, but like, you're just like
there's
a little
clamminess.
Yeah, you're like, okay, just a little damp down there now.
Yeah. Okay, let
All
that dry
right.
out for a bit.
And if, you know what? If I'm doing something wrong, let me know, please, because like otherwise, like, no notes. It's a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all looking to get the French kiss from Poseidon. Sure. I did not actually discover bidet until I was in my 20s, and I did not know what I was fucking experiencing when, like, I'm like, oh, I know what this is, and I, like, turn it on and watch it first and go, oh, that can't be sanitary. Well, in for a penny. And no, it's one of those things that I'm like, you know what? I feel like it's one of those customs that North Americans need to get on board with. But it's low on the list of customs.
Yeah.
That North Americans need to get their shit together.
There's a lot of more
fair.
important things.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my first experience was in my teens because friends of ours had a child with a disability who couldn't wipe himself. So they got...
That's an amazing use of
it. But the first time I saw it was at their house. I was like, well, I got to figure out what this is about.
Yeah.
So obviously I did it. And they're fantastic. During the great toilet paper riots of COVID in 2020... I was very heavily considering getting one.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people did.
My wife has never tried it and refuses. Every time I talk about getting one, she's like, "You will not, and you will not install one in our house." I don't know why she's so against it.
I mean, she just doesn't have to use it.
Exactly. No, the idea of me spending money on it.
Look, you keep sending her videos of whales and dolphins with the blowhole spout like that until she finally
gives in. Yeah, I'm not that sold on it, but at the same time, I would be interested in getting one for my house.
Sure,
but
the first time I came across one, I definitely had no idea what it was, and I was just like, "What's this dial on the side of my parents' toilet?"
Yes.
And turned it.
Yeah.
While I was not on the toilet.
Yes.
That was
weird little water fountain you got here, Mom.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, Brad, if you want to talk her into it, all you need to do is get yourself a super soaker, wait till she's changed.
And just perfect. Actually, I like those ones where you draw the water out manually and just quick burst. You get more pressure out of that.
And it's weirdly more personal.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, let's roll
Intimate. 19. I bumped at the end, so I'm going first again.
Yay.
Lucky me. All right. First question from this section is from King of Rot. How would you tackle running a one-shot based on the 2005 King Kong by Peter Jackson, and would you include the bug pit? And in no surprise to Adam here, never seen it.
Yeah, you haven't seen it.
So I got nothing.
Well, I watched this movie when it came out.
Yeah, me too. It's on in theaters twice.
Yeah, making me 15. It's been a minute.
And everyone at the theater was like, "Oh shit, it's King Kong. He's sitting beside me."
Why is he albino and hairless?
I was at the premiere, I don't know. I think, first of all, I don't remember a bug pit. I vaguely remembers 2 T-Rexes fighting. Am I thinking of the right movie? Yeah, okay. But bug pit is beyond me, so I guess no, I would not include a bug pit. For a one-shot, I mean, I guess... Yeah, you're basically working with... You have a party who arrives on an island, and... you just slowly feed them a couple of clues early on. You're like, oh, that's a really big fly. Oh, that spider is the size of, my entire torso. And slowly lead them into, discovering more and more about this island and what's going on there. And I think that you would want to have your sort of Jack Black character leading them forward greedily towards their prize.
Yeah.
And sort of setting up the dangerous encounters by running headfirst into them and then letting the party sort of deal with the consequences of those actions. And, of course, the final sort of showdown would be that, okay, how do we capture this gigantic ape and, while keeping, our dumbass safe and the rest of us not dying in the process?
I am going to say, first of all, what's your favorite King Kong movie? Because there's been a bunch of them now.
It's probably that one. It's not a series that's near and dear to my heart, if I'm being honest.
I'm a big kaiju fan. I fucking love anything with a monster that's 3 times the size of a building. So.
Fair enough.
So I'm into it. I loved Skull Island. Not a good movie. Loads of fun though. But I like the original. The original for some reason is just I got to watch it so much as a kid that it's nostalgic for me. But.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'll watch Pacific Rim any day of the week. But,
Pacific Rim's the one kaiju movie I've watched.
Not the sequel though.
No.
So much. But no, I'll tell you this. I would take the first 3/4 of the Tomb of Annihilation, because it's just a hex crawl through a jungle peninsula in Chult, right? And I would replace the Tomb of Horrors at the end of it with Tarask.
Yeah,
Reskinned. Yeah, that's how I do it. And Bug Pit, I absolutely would love to. I'm trying to think about it in my head, how would I go about the mechanics of it, and because you have swarms that'll do all the biting and stuff. It'd be really gross. But I've got a player at my table who has a phobia of bugs, and has said in session 0, no, a swarm of ants is fine or whatever. Or you want to fight sturges, go nuts, but don't have them in my hair or in my clothes. Don't hit me with that shit. So I probably wouldn't do bug pit, but I might just give them the needle pit though from Saw 2.
Oof, that's way worse for me.
Oh, yeah, that's way worse.
Give me the bugs.
I don't like bugs, but I'll take that. Next one from Mekusa. What's the wildest lie your character or another player has tried to tell an NPC to get the party out of a situation? As a DM, I had a player try to convince the captain of the guard that their player was in fact the long-lost child of the king. Like the captain of the guard. They rolled a 19 plus their modifier to get a 25. They did not pass, but they got away. They didn't go straight to prison. That was their... Right? And
That's
that
some
20,
Game of Thrones shit.
Yeah,
right
nat
there.
20 would have got you into the throne room with them, like, completely doubting you. But it would have had to have been a nat 20. They rolled the 19, so I at least gave them the... Yeah, you're not going straight to prison, but you're not going to get to see the king.
No, valid. I'm drawing a blank on any like major lies to get through something.
A lot of those lies kind of just like are in the moment and then they
sort of fade away. I'm not having any like major pivotal moments as a result.
In the last session that I ran, I didn't run, Sean was running it, and I'm orc rogue. One of the other players cast invisibility on me. Now, I can't do any damage. We're in a house, and some goblins have come through, but they're like exploring, and I've been sneaking out and murdering them and hiding their bodies over and over again. But one of the bodies just got found by someone who raised the alarm, and then we murdered that guy too, right? So they cast invisibility on me, and I actually climbed up the back of the goblin's shirt. So it was a like small creature, but I'm wearing it. Like it's a breastplate with my arms through the sleeves, but I'm invisible, right? And so, no, I had one arm through, and then the other one was holding the hair on its head and bobbing the head up and down from a distance through the second story window going, no, everybody, hey, everything's fine. You don't have to be here. It's okay. So I was marionetting a goblin by wearing it.
You Weekend at Bernie's did.
Yeah, I absolutely did. So,
love that.
Yeah, so that was probably the most recent. I don't know. There's been some wild ones, but that's probably the most recent.
Did you come up with one? No? All right, we'll move on. This one is specifically targeted at Adam from Acid Dialogue. Adam, why are you a fun hater who removed the ranking from the Lady Mimic series?
Fucking Scott. Okay, you know why. We released an entire special about me ranting and bitching about why I removed the ranking system. But I will say this to any of the listeners, it hasn't come out yet, but we're doing a series on the Blood War on the Patreon. It starts next month. The new episode comes out every 5 weeks. There's no ranking system like on a scale of 1 to 5 or anything like that.
Sure.
Instead, they have 9 categories at the end of every episode. The premise is Megan's doing devils, Elwyn's doing demons, and they're each pitching one with a similar CR rating. And then the third host will sit down, it's always one of the ladies, will sit down and say, hey, this is the one who wins this fight. And the side with the most wins at the end of the series will win the Blood War.
Nice.
But there are 9 categories where they have to choose the winner. And I think it's 3 role-playing, 3 combat, and 3 exploration, right? So, and some of them just like, who's got the most badass offensive spell, which one is the scariest. But the last one in every episode is which one is the sexiest. So that's
there you go. It's still there.
So the chaos is coming.
Yeah. It wouldn't be the ladies without some chaos.
Right.
And some sexiness.
And they have recorded the first 6 episodes already, and Megan has sent me multiple messages apologizing in advance for the rants and the fights that she and I would have done.
It's going to be a work of art.
Yeah. So we replaced.
If you're not in the Patreon, that's it.
So what we did was we found more chaos without the math.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Perfect.
Well, I know what I want to edit next.
Yeah.
Oh no, you do. You think you do? Wait till you edit the first ladies episode.
I've done it. It is a nightmare.
Yeah.
I have heard things.
Next one from Alan Brewbeard. In 7 words or less, so nice and brief. What's your favorite soap? I'm just going to use 2 words, and it will be Old Spice.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to one-up you with one more word. I'm on a horse. I'm on.
Yep.
That's
4 words. 2 doubled.
Doubled me.
I'm good. My favorite soap: the bold and the beautiful. There, I made it.
Perfect. Nailed it. We're all under 7. And last question from this set from Zan. What book do you think more people need to read? Good question. Everyone needs to read The Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry. Because there are people who haven't, and that number is not 0 of number of people who haven't read it, more people need to read it.
That's fair. I've read The Lord of the Rings. I think one that I've really, really enjoyed is a series by an author named Brent Weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And he wrote a series called the Night Angel Trilogy. And it is just a really interesting magic system. He does a great job. He's had 2 different series now. The second one was called The Lightbringer. But both of them have really interesting magic systems, and I really enjoy the way he describes the way magic works in his worlds. It has good stakes and consequences to the actions that you are taking. And the only reason I don't say Lightbringer is because it is 5 novels long. I think it's the better series of the 2.
It's the one I've had actually suggested to me repeatedly.
It's very, very good.
Yeah.
The Night Angel is just a 3-book trilogy and a little bit more digestible. And then if you like that, I would suggest moving on to Lightbringer and enjoying that because it's well written and has some really nice twists and turns to it as it goes along.
I'm going to say, like, I've got some... All right, my favorite book of all time is The Long Walk by Stephen King, or is actually by Richard Bachman. It's his pen name. They're making a movie of it right now, and I'm so fucking stoked. I didn't think they would ever make a movie
Hopefully
of
it
it.
actually turns out well. They usually do with it.
No,
I shouldn't say that. Not usually.
No.
It's one or the other, right? It's one or the other.
Been okay.
Yeah,
Recently, yes.
And this looks fucking phenomenal. So that's my favorite. More people should read it. However, I would say something like 1984. More people should fucking read these days.
Fair.
Right? Fahrenheit 451 is another one. Like, we should be reading this shit. Don't pull it out of schools. Animal Farm is going to be very, very important very, very soon. But I think Flowers for Algernon would be a great thing to teach people about compassion. And, you know, you will connect. If you don't love reading, you will be surprised by how invested you are in this book. It might ignite that. But the real answer is, what book should you be reading more of? The Player's Handbook, you dumb fuck. Figure out how the spells actually work before you show up at the session.
Yes, please. How about your own character sheet, damn it?
Write Indomitable across the top of your character sheet. Right? Like,
Read your own abilities and spells.
look at your fucking gear list.
Yeah, your item list, your equipment.
So yeah, the Player's Handbook is my answer.
Excellent. All right, next section. Let's roll off again.
11.
I'm reading with the 13.
Yeah, you see I'm going
We're on a roll today, Adam.
Yep.
All right. This next question comes from Sweetaboo. If Dan abandoned you on a deserted island, in my case, and only promised to rescue you when you had recorded 50-hour-and-a-half episodes of It's a Mimic, what sourcebook would you bring with you and why? In a similar vein, now that 5e has come to an end, what was your favorite sourcebook and why was it Spelljammer? Oh, I knew I liked you. Legitimately, though, if it was one book and I had to do a bunch of episodes on it, it would just be the DM's Guide.
Yeah, the new one?
The new one.
Yeah.
There's just so much you can pull out of it. It's a great, solid book. The rest, I don't know if I could pull that many up. There's a lot of good stuff. Player's Handbook is another good one. Monster's Manual, sure. But I think the DM's Guide would probably be the one that I would get the most content out of.
Yeah, that's fair.
And legitimately, out of original 5th edition, yeah, it's got to be Spelljammer. I mean, I'm a proponent of it. It's come up many times on the podcast.
I'm slowly warming to it, but I do hate the books we got in 5th ed.
Yeah.
I love Spelljammer more than the material recently printed because it was just it didn't give us what we needed.
No,
right? The adventure sounded really fun.
The
bestiary looks great.
Yeah.
But I thought those...
Yeah, the ships could have used... You know, the ships were interesting, but they weren't fleshed out, but it gave you room. But
And it was the same thing for 20 fucking pages before... Anyway. Yeah. Anyway.
How about you? What one book?
I think I'd probably bring the Monster Manual
and
just do like an episode per creature and like work through it. And then, I don't know, to fill out time, maybe expand upon how you could... Actually, maybe I'll alter my answer a little bit. There's a great book called The Monsters Know What They're Doing.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Does that count? Does that fit in the criteria of the question?
You know what? It doesn't specify it.
It's a source book.
But we did a Legend Lore episode. Meg and I sat down and tore it apart and went into it. And when I introduced it to her on mic.
Yeah.
That's on the Patreon.
It is a fantastic book.
So,
It's a great book.
And a great episode.
And there's some really cool stuff in there that I think, I know as like an early GM, I would have loved to have had. Yeah. Because a lot of the time I sat there going like, okay, who do I attack next? Like, I don't want to make my players feel targeted.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But like my game, player brain is going, attack the wizard, even if that might not be exactly what would be happening in the encounter. And this book gives a lot of really good insight into like how certain types of monsters are going to react in different types of situations. And I've found it really, really interesting. And I think it would be something that'd be a lot of fun to dissect and get really, really deep into, over a number of episodes. So that's my answer for that. And as far as 5th Ed goes, like I think I've mentioned on the podcast before, I did not play a lot of 5th Ed, and therefore have not been exposed to a ton of the source books. So I'm probably just going to be really boring and say the PHB.
Yeah.
You know
what?
Look,
Yeah,
I've used it more than any other book for 5th Ed. So
you know what? It was a good PHP.
Yeah.
It was all right.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't best. I think the new one's better, but it was a good PHP.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the answer to answer the question is you want to pick one of the ones that just is a list, like the Monster Manual, right? The DMG has all sorts of tables and lists in it.
It does.
You can pull a lot of shit out of it, but let me go through 5th Ed really quickly because I'm looking at the shelf here. Xanathar's was chock full of tables. Even the whole section to build your character. It's one that Dave rolls on anytime he builds a new character.
Yeah.
He just randomly rolls on that to find out what the details are, and if something different and interesting, that would be phenomenal to use. Dungeon of the Mad Mage has so much shit packed into it that like every room could be its own episode, and there are hundreds of rooms in it.
Yeah.
Let me see. I don't know enough about the Critical Role stuff. I would say Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft is vague enough, but it has kind of general inspiration. You could probably pull something off of every page if you're going to do a big series on horror. But as I talked about in some of the Great Worm episodes of Robert, it kind of leaves a little to be desired.
Yeah.
Monsters of the Multiverse is the same thing as the Monster Manual, except that I like it better because if we're going to do a podcast recording on it, these are the monsters that people don't know.
Sure.
Right? So
How about Tasha's?
Tasha's is interesting, but it very specifically lines up, hey, here are 4 pages on traps. Here are 4 pages on supernatural regions. Here are 4 pages on. So you're not going to get 100 or 50 episodes out of it.
Yeah, maybe not as many, but I like the diversity that you'd be able to get out of a book like that.
Yeah, and that's why I would say the Deck of Many Things, because every chapter is a radically different. It's almost got ADHD.
Oh, huge, yeah.
So like the Book of Many Things is a solid pick. Honestly, I'm probably going to pick Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel or the
Candlekeep?
No, not Candlekeep specifically, but Quest from the Infinite Staircase, because both of those have a centralized location where you're essentially plane hopping with like 14 to 17 somewhere in there different like separate adventures. I'm sure you could pull 3 or 4 episodes out of each one of those for the inspiration that you're going to find, because every one of those locations, all the NPCs, all of it's radically different from the other shit, right? And Journey Through the Radiant Citadel is kind of more multicultural. Like every single one of the adventures has like, this one's like an Aztec theme, this one's a Middle Eastern theme, this one's a Japanese theme. So they've got all these different like sources of inspiration behind each one of the adventures. Even though they're all fictional worlds, there's clearly some history behind it, and I feel like you could make a solid podcast out of that. So
Vecna, you've ruined kind of on that same. It suffered from coming out right at the end of 5th, right before 5.5, I think.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people, we really liked it going through it in Legend Lore. I've seen a lot of people online complaining that it takes a lot more DM heavy lifting.
It is a lot. I'm running it right now.
Are you?
It is some hard work, but I think the payoff is there.
The same thing with Curse of Strahd. Like once you get to
absolutely,
Valakai, Valaki, however you want to say it, it's a sandbox. Now you need to read the entire rest of the book. Yeah. So a lot of prep work.
All right. Next question from King of Rot. How much steampunk do you like in your TTRPGs or other fantasy fiction? And my answer is going to be, it depends on the setting. You either need to have it and fully dive in or leave it out. I don't want a little bit in mine. I'm kind of an all or nothing. If it's steampunk, let's have it. Let's surround the world in it. Otherwise, I just prefer a standard fantasy setting without all of the gears and the steam and the mechanisms and flying airships. Do it or don't is how I like it.
Oh, my next?
Yep.
I would say... Fuck, I don't know. Like, I usually keep that shit out unless I've got portals opening up into my world from all these other worlds. So, like, the odd musket will show up, or there will be some sort of contraption. If my players can justify, oh, I'm a tinker, or I want to build this little clockwork, whatever. Yeah, fine, fuck it, whatever. You do your thing. Dan accidentally, through a series of bad decisions and poor rolls, cut off Megan's character's leg in the last campaign.
Holy shit.
And then but then made
She
a new
loses
one.
something almost every campaign.
Yeah,
doesn't she?
yeah, she never makes it through all the way.
No.
So, but he ended up like making a contraption for like her fake leg, so she went down by 5 feet, but she was able to store items in it. It was able to shoot an arrow. Like, there's a bunch of shit going on in there.
Cool.
So like he was able to rebuild it in certain ways because he was a gnome tinkerer, and I'm like, fuck, do your thing.
Why not, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'm never going to inject it into my game, but if someone else wants to bring it to the table, I'm not going to yuck anyone else's yum.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm sort of the opposite on steampunk. I like a little dabble of steampunk. I don't love full, like, whole hog steampunk. There's nothing wrong with it, but, like, that's generally not where I'm going to take my campaign. But, like, I think the thing I would compare it the most to would be, like, Final Fantasy, where, you know, you've got, like, your blimp airships or the sort of, like, steam, like, mech walkers that are sort of part steam, part magic powered, and maybe drawing a line before they start getting to the weird jets and stuff like that, because every once in a while they go a little farther, and you have, like, full sci-fi stuff happening in Final Fantasy. I'm like, wait, hold on, stop. But I think that's sort of the vibe that I like. So, yeah, I think even, like, that story about Megan's leg sort of fits into that idea of, yeah, like, we can sort of come to a low level of technology and fit that into the world when needed.
Okay, I just want to be really clear. We are sitting in this room talking about Megan's leg, and she has no idea we're doing that. It's going to be really weird when someone brings it up in the Discord later.
Perfect.
Hey, you remember when you guys talking about Megan's leg for 20 minutes on the episode?
We're counting on you guys.
Yep.
Oh, man.
All right. Next question. What is the most evocative or inspirational piece of art in a WOTC, Wizard of the Coast, or RPG book that you own? And I'm going to have a hard time on a single piece, but one of my favorite books from Wizard of the Coast as far as art goes is Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite art piece
Oh, yeah?
in 5th edition.
It's solid. It was right around then. I'm gonna say it was Eberron, where we saw a turn in the art and it suddenly just skyrocketed in quality. And then there was another big bump again right around Strixhaven-ish. There's a bump as well.
Yeah.
Strixhaven's not my favorite art, but there was a bump in quality. Like
Sure.
it went up.
Yeah.
But no, Wild Beyond the Witch was definitely one of the.
It is just full of splashes of color everywhere. The monsters are like the detail, and it's woven into the pages, and just the formatting of the book. That's the one that stuck with me.
What's interesting to me is that I don't know. I've been through them all. I just did an episode on the Patreon that came out like 2 weeks ago with Megan doing Art and Arcana, which is the visual history of D&D, which shows you the evolution from the early sketches of like the original creators of the game all the way up to modern when it came out, which is halfway through 5th edition. So I don't know. I think the art in the Monster Manual, the new one, is probably my favorite.
It's really nice. Yeah.
Because not only is it big and it's full, it's vibrant, there's action in it. Mm-hmm. There's no more monster posing against a white background.
Yeah.
No.
Right? They're always doing the thing they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Right? So I forget which monster it is in the original Monster Manual for 5th edition, where it says, like, there's clearly, I'm trying to remember what it is now. It always pissed me off. We didn't do an episode on it because it pissed me off. The artwork showed them doing a thing that's not represented at all in their stat block. And the stat block doesn't represent
Yeah.
So there's just a disconnect. It feels like in this Monster Manual, the artist is telling the story and the lore almost better than the words are a lot of the time. So
it's adding, not just representing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I have 2 answers for this question, and neither of them have anything to do with D&D, so you're welcome.
Sure.
The first one is a piece of art that I've loved for a very, very long time. It's from Magic the Gathering, and it applies because that's WotC.
Yeah.
And it's the art for a card called Tide Hollow Sculler. And it is basically like to explain it to somebody outside of Magic, it looks like the ferryman on the river Styx. It's got that sort of very like black, like sort of like pole-fed boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gondola, thank you. And just like dark cloak.
Who's feeding poles to boats, Steve?
Can
we just back up and
maybe the boat's a mimic.
Everybody's
It's on theme, right?
Some people like to put their pole in a boat.
taking out
So
water
that-
now, aren't you, Dick?
When do we start? All right, we're not allowed to.
We don't think so.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well, yeah. So that's the artwork I have in my house.
There's got to be some time to start.
So yeah, I own that artwork. I believe the artist's name is RK Post, and I've always enjoyed the art that he's put out for the game. He's been doing it almost since its inception, from what I recall, and just very talented artist in general. RK, if you happen to listen, love your work. When it comes to the other side of thing, which is the RPG book, Legend of the Five Rings core book is gorgeous. It's got some amazing, like Japanese artistry in there that plays along.
You're talking the 4th edition one?
Yes.
Yeah. I used a lot of the art from that book for the episode covers and stuff.
Yeah, because it's beautiful.
It is. And so if anybody wants to take a look at it, the L5R series with the visuals is on YouTube. So
Really, really pretty stuff. And yeah, ever since I started that game, I fell in love with the game, but I also fell in love with the artwork that they have in every one of their books. Just the core book has the most of it, so I'll represent it that way.
Nice. All right, next question from Zan. Why rewatch a TV series or reread a novel? Biggest first word for me is comfort, right? We take comfort in the things that we enjoy, and sometimes it's just nice to be in a setting or a place that you're familiar with. With TV also, if I'm rewatching a show, it's usually because it's on in the background while I'm doing something else, right? Books, obviously, that's more to actually engage back into that world and put myself back there. But with a TV show series, it's usually just company in a quiet space when I don't want to be alone with my thoughts.
I reread novels all the time. I wish I read more often.
Now, sorry, a little off topic. When you reread a novel, do you read it front to back?
Yeah.
Because I do it just I skim through, get to my favorite parts, read them, skim
Really?
through.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
Because,
I've never heard
I know the
anybody
rest of
else
it,
do
right?
that.
So
Sure.
I go to the parts, and I'll read the whole thing, but I'm speed reading through some of the pages. I'll even skip a couple pages.
You're like,
to get to the-
those few words
Yeah.
remind me of this scene.
Exactly,
And
and I can...
yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's Lord of the Rings, I'm probably going to skip the elven songs that last for 7 pages.
Oh, see, I love some of those.
Some of them are great, but a
Yeah.
lot of them I will skip.
Or the long winding explanation of how the field looks as they walk through it.
My God, the only thing more pornographic than that in fantasy is fucking George R. R. Martin loving food.
Yeah, food.
Fuck.
You're not wrong.
Anyway, so I will do a reread of a novel because I want to re-experience it, but front to back. I want to go on the whole fucking journey. So and depending on my love of the novel, I rarely will revisit one within 3 years of the time that I just read it.
Yeah,
But
not usually that quickly.
no, so there are people that do the annual reread of whatever. I can't do that. That's too much. But when it comes to a show or a movie, I am doing a lot of rewatching these days, and it is because my wife has not seen a lot of films, and I've introduced her to a bunch. She has absolutely grasped onto, loves James Bond, the new stuff with Daniel Craig. That
so
surprised
great.
me.
Yeah.
Was that I didn't think that would be something she loved, but she loved every second of it. Had never seen a James Bond movie before.
man.
So
Wow.
Now I need to rewatch that.
she loves the Alien series. I was not expecting that. I thought that she would kind of say no, too scary.
Where did you start?
Alien.
Yeah, right at the
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I always do it in release order,
Mhm.
so that way you have context that the audience was supposed to have, right? But as I'm doing this, I'm watching it to see her reaction, right? That's why we're watching Community. It's the 8th time through for me.
Yeah.
But we're in season 2, and she's just now shaking her head. We haven't gotten to the crazy shit yet.
No,
right?
You're still really early.
They're still relatively grounded at this
Yeah.
point. So I'm excited to get to there. But she told me as we're sitting there, so we've got a screensaver on the television that goes by, right? Whenever we let it sit for too long.
Mhm.
And so it's scrolling through all the movies and shit that are there waiting to get watched. And Spaceballs comes up, and she looks at me and goes, "Is that a Star Wars ripoff, or what is that?" So
Oh, you had this weekend, please.
That's,
I want an update.
that's it's all about the enjoyment of getting her
Absolutely.
to enjoy it, and so that's what it's all
awesome.
about. Yeah.
yeah, I guess I have a bit of a hot take on this one, which is that I am not a big rewatcher.
No.
There's a very small list of TV shows and movies that I'm I will rewatch these until the end of time, but it's very small, or at least as small as Star Wars can be, anyways. But also outside of that, I'm not going to rewatch Clone Wars, for example. I've seen that through from beginning to end once.
Once is enough.
And I'm
really?
good. I'm good. That's not that show is too long. There are episodes I will watch.
Oh, okay, yes,
Sure,
okay.
but like doing the beginning to end on
sure.
that, it's just too long. I
I
can't do it again.
think the point I want to say, and I have this argument with Sean all the time. Why do you listen to music? Do you listen to it for the lyrics? Do you listen to it for the musicality? Do you listen to it for the vibe? I mean, and the answer is a mixture of them. But like, what's the primary one?
Yeah.
For TV shows, it's the same thing. I think with Star Wars, for our generation, it's the vibe, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I'm here for the vibe, and that's why Jurassic Park didn't land with you, Brad, was because you weren't. It just didn't hit that 1993 vibe.
I didn't have nostalgia. I was like, this is played. All of these bits are played. It might have been the original, but to me, I'd seen it all already, so it was played.
But like, I gotta get Miek in the right mood before she sees Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh, absolutely.
Because like she's got to be ready for, as she calls it, dumb boy humor, right?
Wait for Napoleon Dynamite.
Although she fucking loved Airplane, right? Because so
Naked Gun.
So how we haven't gotten there yet. Dave and I just discovered Police Squad.
So good.
It's so funny. We've only watched the first 2 episodes, and we actually made Sean and Tyler. They were over here to record one night, the 3 of them.
You're in for such a treat.
And we said that we forced Tyler. He was trying to talk to me about music or something for the podcast. I'm like, yeah, sure, just after this episode. And he was so patient. That fucking idiocy. That's so awesome. Good.
I think so much of what I enjoy out of media, though, is like it is about the plot and like those moments where you go ooh, or like something happens and you didn't expect it, and you only get to experience that moment truly once. And it's the reason that I am such a fucking asshole about spoilers.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm. Like I have no patience for the this thing happens, even though it's containing a character from a different series or anything like that. Like I just like don't play with me, don't fuck around. Just leave it out. And I swear to God, if this spawns a bunch of things in the Discord about fake spoilers, I'm just not going to talk to you guys anymore. Like fair warning. Like I can't handle it. Like
are you one of those guys? Because there's me and there's a couple other people I know. Dave's another one. Where you're watching a trailer and just from like the pacing of the movie, like he was calm a moment ago and now he's screaming, and then we're going to see him calm later with a mark on his face. Okay, I know the trajectory of this whole fucking film now, right?
Yes.
Like, I can tell by the lighting in this scene like, how far through the movie this is going to be based on the intensity of it, right? Like,
yes.
I will watch a teaser and then I'm done. I won't watch any trailer.
That's what I've started doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have been talking a lot about the Weapons trailer, which is this horror movie that's coming out later this year. Yeah. And it is the perfect trailer.
It's so good.
And it has a little bit of like, like go to this website and read these stories that is associated with it. But there's nothing really about the movie.
It feels Cloverfield.
Yeah.
And I'm all about that.
And I have no idea.
Did a great job.
It is about these kids that leave in the middle of the night and never come back. And that's all I want to know. And the footage they put on there is all from like front of house, like Ring doorbells. And like it's just a bunch of weird kids running through the street and disappearing into the night.
Their arms out for no weird reason.
And I am sold. Yeah. I am sold to the depths of my soul. I want to watch this movie so badly, and I have no idea what it's about. And that's perfect. That's exactly what I want, because we're going to go and we're going to see it, and it's going to all be new information, and we're going to get an opportunity to be surprised and enlightened as we go, without a trailer having already been like, oh, well, this is going to be what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like...
And by the way, Robert Downey Jr. is Dr. Doom!
Okay, well, guys, whatever. So, yeah, that's sort of my answer to that, I guess, which got out of hand a little bit, but that's okay.
That's good. Last question from this set from Sweetaboo. Banish, Court, Dalliance, Strahd, Tasha, Lol. Straight up for me, in that order. I don't have any love for Strahd. Never. It's just not my thing. I don't care for vampire fiction. It's just never been my scene. He's overplayed. I know people love him, and they have the right to love him. I understand why they do. It's like kind of like a movie, like I said with Jurassic Park, right? Where it's been so hyped as this is the greatest campaign of all time. I know by the time I get to it, I'm going to be like, it's fine, but it's not the best.
How long can you sit in Gothic horror before you're bored?
I can sit in Gothic horror for a while. Yeah. But I already know too much about Strahd as well and the campaign because it comes up all the time. Again, it's been spoiled for me, so why would I want to play that campaign? Banish him, kick him out. Court, Tasha, feel like there's a lot more depth there. You can do a lot with that character. And a Dalliance, I mean, I don't really want a spider, but you know what? I have a fear of spiders, but at least it'll be over quickly.
Yeah, a little too quickly. That's my problem.
Yeah.
So for me,
I want that web is just gonna be everywhere.
Yours or hers?
Yeah. Yes.
no, I'm banishing Lolth. I know enough about her.
Oh, she's
like every time that you get a high enough promotion, she's like, "Oh, here, let me reward you."
death.
Right. So
That's what I mean. At least it's over.
Quarter Dalliance, you're never going to get to that. She's going to kill you first. So banish Lolth right away. One thing about Strahd is he's fucking committed to his relationships, and that's kind of the fucking problem, right? So, but if we're gonna court, I'm into it already. Like at least I'll be relatively safe in Barovia.
Sure,
right? I'm okay there,
especially if Strahd's watching over you.
Yeah, and Dalliance with Tasha is just like.
There's gonna be some weird shit.
That's gonna be.
Don't put your dick in crazy, kind of like.
Yeah. Look. We started the night with Tasha. We ended with Igwild. It has gone wild, right? So when you see her without her makeup on the next day, and she has gone full hag queen. I know. Tasha is a good fucking time. That I would be like. I'm going to call you again in like 3 or 4 years, but I'm going to need to really...
recover.
Yeah.
I need to have my walk of shame
need
first.
Some therapy.
Yeah. Pretty sure it's a limp of shame.
Well, I do have the disadvantage of going last here, and unfortunately, I align perfectly with Adam. I would do basically...
That's unfortunate for anyone who aligns perfectly with you.
Yeah, well...
It's generally not a good rule of thumb, but...
Yeah, now
fine.
it's on the record. But yeah, I mean, Lolth, like, there's nothing ever good comes from any kind of interaction with Lolth, especially as a man. It's just not...
get your head ripped off.
Yeah, you're just going to die or become a Drider. Like, one of the two, neither is great. I also have a fear of spiders, so becoming one for the rest of eternity seems real bad to me. And yeah, Strahd, I mean, realistically, you could do worse than a vampire boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, wild one night stand.
Found the Twilight kid.
No.
Absolutely not. We'll leave that to the
That's
ladies.
a whole movie of vampire boyfriend.
Yeah, no, pass. All right, I think
last section.
Yep.
A nat 20. Oh man,
man, you did 80% of these.
Doing all the heavy lifting.
All right, are we gonna roll off for second, or
let's roll off for second.
All right. Me.
Yeah, it's you.
It's me.
Right.
Adam has light duty tonight.
I'll start us off here. Next one. Alan Brewbeard asks us, you fell from a giant circus ball and need immediate elbow surgery. The only doctors available are Dr. Seuss, Dr. Dre, the Doctor, and Dr. Doolittle. Who do you choose for the surgery? That kind of sucks because before I got to the end of that question, it was going to be Doctor Strange. It was just a natural. He was a surgeon. Yeah, his hands don't work as well anymore, but I think he'd still pull it off. So out of those options, you know what? Legitimately, I'm going with Doctor Who, the Doctor. He's going to have something with that sonic screwdriver. He's going to be able to figure it out and get me back online. Dr. Dre, absolutely not. Despite that sketch that he did with, was it Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah.
I don't think he actually belongs in Noir. Dr. Seuss, I think he's going to give me something that I just shouldn't have. My elbow's going to go the wrong way.
You're going to have a thing woggle.
Exactly. And Dr. Doolittle's probably the second pick. He at least knows how to do animals. Some of them have elbows. Yeah. Or close enough. But no, I'm going with the Doctor.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. The Doctor Who has solved bigger problems than a busted elbow. He can handle that, no problem. Like, at the very least, it'll get splinted and dealt with. Like, so, yeah, agree, 100%.
No, you guys are wrong. You guys are wrong with Doctor Who because the Doctor never solved a thing by anything except his mouth, and that's it.
You can talk my elbow right back into its spot.
But see, the problem is, if it was Doctor Who and whichever companion he was with, the companion's guy's the one with all the skills, right?
Oh, sure.
That's how it is. Fair. But it's just the Doctor.
I mean, his current companion is a nurse, so I mean, that's even better, right? Like,
so, let's see. Dr. Zeus is just problematic. We found out a little bit about Dr. Zeus' history.
Sadly, yes.
Dr. Dre would say, I can take care of this, and I have the willpower to do it no matter what. I will be right back, and then he would fuck off and not release an album for 2 fucking days. And then so that leaves me with Dr. Doolittle, I guess. So,
yeah, I think it's...
You're going the apocalyptic route where the vet is your best option?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. It's probably the smart option.
It is a doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Next question, King of Rot. How often do you encounter strangely large sewer systems in your home games, and why? Up until that last part of the sentence... Extremely large sewer systems on a daily basis. I work in a shit plant. That is my thing.
It's true. He supplies the shit.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
As far as in my home games, I don't know. Not every campaign, but it has come up. Rarely, but it has come up.
Yeah, every once in a while. The game I'm playing right now, we had to deal with sort of a slum that popped up in an aqueduct, which is sort of an above-ground sewer system in some ways. The aqueduct was long since defunct. And yes, I understand that it's just for clean water, trust me. But, similar-ish.
Yeah. And if it's been sitting stagnant long enough, it's basically...
It's just as bad.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say it never comes up, but it was a major set piece about halfway through my last campaign. And it was a major set piece in this campaign as well. But never, I just want underground systems. Like, I wanted to explore dungeons. And you can only do so many tunnels and literal dungeons and Forgotten Ruins before you just end up in a sewer system.
Yep.
And are they unnaturally big? Yeah. Because I need a party of 5 to wander through there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want some monsters that aren't just 5 feet by 5 feet.
Exactly.
Yep.
So,
yeah. Next one. If you were reincarnated in the D&D universe, what non-human creature would you want to be reincarnated as? Whew, that's a tough one. But you know what? I gotta go with it. It's gonna be a dwarf. I play a dwarf in everything. Whenever I have a chance, I play the dwarf. I'm gonna go with dwarf.
Fair enough. I'd have to go dragon. Like ancient, old, wise beast.
you have to be way more specific.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Chromatic or metallic? Let's start there.
Probably metallic. I think I'd go gold dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too big. You've got some maneuverability. You're not just this big lumbering, like black dragon. Which one's the biggest?
Red.
Red? Okay. Yeah. So yeah, something like a little bit more nimble. Gold sounds good to me.
I even feel like gold is long and sinuous now, according to the art. So I even feel like silver's technically got more meat on it than a gold.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
so.
I mean, anything, huh?
Anything in D&D.
Anything in D&D. So, like, the correct answer here is...
Changeling.
Well, I was kind of going that direction, like doppelganger, you can get away with just about anything.
Yeah.
But, like, the correct answer is probably a deva. So that you can just go chill out in the seven heavens and just be perfectly happy.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to be honest, incubus, succubus, the ability... No, hold up.
I want to hear more.
Okay, but it's about the ability to read people's intentions, to be able to swap your physical appearance, and to be able to tempt people and get them to do anything. It's essentially the mind control creature.
Right.
Right. Except you're not mind control, it's temptation. But I'd probably dive into that. Like,
That's
also,
how you got us all here.
Yeah.
Right. Also, I'm not affiliated with the Blood War, so that helps.
That's
in a big way for me being a fiend. But I think that I could probably just not be super fucking evil, just be kind of mildly evil, just like misdemeanor evil, and probably live a good long life on the material plane. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
How long till you give in to the more evil? Because at
You
some
get
point you gotta
bored
be fighting
eventually.
your own demons.
It depends how long until I meet a bard.
About 2 minutes in D&D.
Yeah, right?
Everybody's got one. All right, next question. Food tastes better with chopsticks, forks, old way knives, or Icelandic way? That's from Zan. Food tastes better, you know what? Straight up with chopsticks.
What's the Icelandic way?
I assume your hands?
I would have called that the fucking old way knives.
Probably old way knives.
I gotta look up.
I also don't know what old way knives is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please stand by.
Well, so in the Philippines, they actually use a fork and a spoon instead of a knife. That works great for me. I like that way as well.
That's not bad. I mean,
like a knife, like when you're like cutting an apple and you just take a chunk with it and you eat it off.
Yeah, that might be old way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
like,
sense.
that's what I'm assuming that means.
Everything with a knife.
Yeah,
kind of
Just stab it and put it in your mouth.
not great for spaghetti, but okay.
I'm a chopstick guy.
Yeah,
I like chopsticks. They're
I'm usually a
versatile.
chopstick guy. I want to know what the Icelandic way is before I lock in. Do we get an answer on that?
I didn't get an answer. I typed in
Okay.
the Icelandic way and got some map answers. So
I was
All
going
right.
to say, did you end up on some questionable sites?
no,
Or
that's
you can put you on a watch list?
that's the Icelandic back road. I'm a chopsticks guy, but if I can be perfectly honest, it depends on the meal. I'm not eating spaghetti with chopsticks.
No.
I'm not eating soup with a fork.
No.
Yeah.
So like depends on the meal, but
But you are eating soup with chopsticks.
yes.
Okay.
I eat miso soup with
Miso,
chopsticks.
yeah, you
That's
give it a
fair,
stir,
that's
you
fair, yeah.
slurp it down.
Yeah, right. So I've also discovered somewhat recently that you shouldn't eat sushi with chopsticks.
Yes,
With the rolls,
you're
they're
supposed to use
supposed
your
to be
hand.
fingered food.
Really?
Chopsticks
Yes.
are for like the teriyaki chicken and the
The messier stuff.
So
Yep.
Although, I mean, I feel like with North American sushi and having not experienced true Japanese sushi, like, generally we heap so much stuff on top of
Yeah,
sushi.
those need
The rolls,
chopsticks.
like,
But-
trying to eat that with your fingers is going to make a huge
But yeah,
difference.
sashimi,
but-
nigiri, a simple roll,
Yeah, okay.
hand roll, they're all hand foods.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
And also I discovered that the ginger is there as a palate cleanser between the different
Correct.
pieces of the rolls. So you're not supposed to just go from one roll to the next. You're supposed to cleanse the palate with ginger first.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
interesting.
Or Sunamono. The
also
vinegar.
Yeah,
They're so good. All right, our last question from Sweetaboo. Why is it called a urinal cake if you can't eat them? And my question to you is, what do you mean you can't eat them? Can't or won't, you coward?
Challenge accepted.
And if you can get them out of the urinal, you just get that extra little bit.
But
you
you gotta
coward.
use chopsticks.
Chopsticks to get it out.
Perfect.
I'm comfortable ending the episode on that.
Anything to add to that, Steve?
Nope.
No, you got no other opinions?
You
You're good?
coward.
That's it. All right. Well, thanks for listening to another round of mailbag questions on the It's a Mimic channel. If you'd like to ask us questions that we'll definitely answer no matter what, you can reach out to us through the mailbag post on the subreddit at r/itsAmimic. Hit us up through Facebook, Instagram, send us messages through the website, or join our Patreon if you're feeling a little spicy, which also has a dedicated Discord channel just for mailbag questions.
And it's first come, first served, so get those questions in ASAP. We already have a handful of overflow questions for the next mailbag in 3 months.
And again, thanks for listening and supporting us at It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.
That's all for this Mailbag of Holding episode of the It's a Mimic podcast. This episode and others can also be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and most other podcast apps. Please take a second to engage with a like, follow, subscribe, comment, or review to help push our engagement. Thanks for listening to It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get. If you'd like to support us, we have a store with some merch and a donate button on our website, itsamimic.com. You can also head to itsamimic.com to find a comprehensive episode guide and more information about the show. We do have a Patreon, which not only offers access to our exclusive Discord server, but also hosts over 100 episodes, covering topics like 5th edition book reviews and the campaign builder, spells and gods, fae, homebrew inspiration, and even the Blood War. If you'd like to submit any mailbag questions, please reach out to us through any of the social media links in the show notes of this episode, or send us an email at info@itsamimic.com. This has been an episode of It's a Mimic, where you never know what you're going to get.